Hey everyone, Matron here, bringing you another StarCraft 2 commentary, this time a 1v1 between two redditors I found. Kodak, who is a 2400 diamond player. His opponent will be Obsidian, who is also a Diamond League player, I believe around 2500 points. And we will get started here shortly, so let's get right into the game. So we have Obsidian spawning as the green Zerg, and Kodak will be the light blue Protoss. The map will be Lost Temple, so we check Obsidian casting or spawning on the western edge here, and Kodak spawning on the eastern position. So cross positions on Lost Temple. This can mean a macro game may develop between the two players. I was scrimmaging around with Obsidian just a few minutes ago. Seems like a pretty solid player. Actually went hatch first into pool, so we'll see whether he favors that sort of build on these long positions as well. Again, both these players sort of upper edge of Diamond, just below the Masters League at this point, around 2,500 points. And referencing all the Idra, Gracket, and Gracken jokes that have been popping up on Reddit. And as always, if you're not familiar with Reddit, make sure you check it out, reddit.com/r/StarCraft. They've got a lot of links there for different things that are going on in the StarCraft universe, great games, posts on Team Liquid, and discussions of strategy and such. And it's just a really nice community, as we see the probe from Kodak doing a nice thing, pathing up there, making sure that the Overlord's not going to be coming down from that northern position. Again, if the Zerg is in that northern position, you can spot that Overlord, send your scout right there, and now Kodak pretty much knows that his opponent is on these cross positions, having already scouted the southern starting position there. And if you weren't aware, there's actually a bug on Lost Temple. Not really a bug, but you'll check the flowers in the Fog of War here for both players. A Zerg player's flowers will actually not be there because the creep has spread over them, killing the flowers. And a Protoss player, if they path over the starting positions and they know they're playing a Zerg player, they can see that those flowers aren't by the starting positions. You can see them, they're by each of the starting positions, aside for the Zerg position there with the creep. So we see that Obsidian going for this fast expand once again, and now going for a pool as well. So it was about a 15 or 16 hatch and then a 15 pool there. So a pretty standard opening these days. And on the cross positions, he will be safe. It looks like Kodak scouting this watchtower, making sure he holds that. He's going to be able to see any Zerglings coming by. Very interesting, not walling off with that cybernetics core. The drone of Obsidian might have been blocking that, forcing Kodak to place that cybernetics core in the wrong spot, as we see that drone being quite annoying. Kodak getting up his second gas at this point, but he can block off before the Zerglings make it there with a second gateway. And it looks like the spawning pool about to finish and gas already saturated for Obsidian, so he will be getting up speed, I imagine, pretty shortly. And his hatchery finished as well, working on one queen at the main, and just droning up as both players working on their economy in the early going. Kodak has up that all-important second assimilator, so that's going to allow him to get out some early sentries, start banking up some energy. And against Zerg, just so very important to have those sentries in those force fields against the Zerglings and the Roaches in the early going. So both players trying to establish some sort of map control. Obsidian moving his Overlords out across the map. You see he does have the Overlord in a great position here. He's going to be able to see the army as it does move out for Kodak, and he's also going to be able to see the expansion when it does go down. So it looks like a few Zerglings out at the moment and chasing away the probe. Kodak doing a good job seeing that coming and getting out of there with his probe. He's got the wall off established with this Zealot as well. So you're going to be working on that first sentry. And again, you see a lot of Protoss players getting up that second gas early and trying to get those sentries out, hiding a third gateway in the main, so he doesn't want his opponent to know how many gateways he's going for. And at this point, Obsidian does not know what the build of his opponent is. Kodak also has not gotten too much information, as Obsidian is getting a Roach Warren down. Really want to take another pathway through your opponent's base, trying to skirt past those Zerglings and the Queens, and just check out whether a layer is going up, a second Vespian timing. As we see, the Zerglings basically controlling midfield. They have both of the towers at this point, and Kodak is pretty much stuck in his base. He does have the warp gate tech finished, 3 gateways up, as they are producing a ton of sentries. And again, something you do see in the early going here is a ton of sentries. It looks like we'll have a 3-gate expand. Obsidian, I'm not really sure. He did catch that. Actually, he will see it with his Overlord here. So 3-gate expand for Kodak with very heavy sentry play, so they will be able to wall off, force field that ramp if Zerglings do attempt to run by. If we check the production tab, it looks like we have an Evo chamber on the way for Obsidian, and he's just droning up really hard right now. 9 drones just popped. If we check the income tab, it's 36 to 31, so Obsidian knows that a fast Nexus is going down for his opponent, and he's going to take the opportunity just to drone up. And that's something you really have to do as a Zerg, is read your opponent, decide whether they're going to be passive or aggressive, and if they are passive, you need to take another base, as we see the Zerglings working on the destructible rocks, or just drone up really hard. If your opponent is going for some sort of 3 or 4 gate pressure, as we see Kodak adding a gateway and a forge here, so both players just sort of macroing up, playing quite defensive. If your Protoss opponent is being aggressive, that's when you just stream out a bunch of Zerglings and maybe some roaches and fend that off. If you make too much army as a Zerg player in the early going, it can really stifle your economy, as we see the lair about to finish for Obsidian. He's on 3 gases right now, or 2, with 1 not saturated, and he's placed an evolution chamber in front of the spine crawler, so creating some small narrow pathways here, going to block the spine crawler from zealots around, so that can be a pretty decent move there. And it looks like these Zerglings with speed finish going to start terrorizing the Protoss player poking in here, but a lot of sentries going to be able to get some force fields, and we see trapping a few Zerglings there. So Zerglings going down, not losing too many, but Obsidian makes his presence known, and at this point Kodak sort of playing defensively with getting that photon cannon down as well, working on the +1 ground weapon upgrade. That's going to be all important, as it does allow the Zealots to 2-shot those Zerglings. Looks like the destructible rock's about to go down now that there's a nice surround by those Zerglings. And we see Glial Reconstitution as well as melee attack level 1 happening for the Zerg. And then in the base of the Protoss player, that cannon is finishing, another gateway going up. So you'll soon be on, looks like 6 gateways, and getting out a Stargate as well. He's got a few Phoenix, and they will start their harassment. First thing they're going to want to do is take out this Overlord. Again, at this level of play, every Zerg player is going to have an Overlord right here. So if you get an Observer or Phoenix, one of the first thing you want to do is take that out and really deny the forest scouting there. Now it looks like Kodak going to take back this tower, so wrestling back map control from the Zerg player. See Obsidian doing a nice job, 4 active creep tumors on the front of the base here, so he's going to be able to spread creep quite well, and maybe moving this queen into position to get some injects on this hatchery, laying down a 5th active tumor. And now the Protoss player, Kodak, just working on his own destructible rocks, swooping in here with some Phoenix. Again, this is after the patch, so not only did they add chat channels, but they added a bunch of Protoss buffs, one of which is this Phoenix timing. The Phoenix take a little less time to build now, so you can mass them up quite a bit faster off of 1 gateway, as they are going to be terrorizing this queen, picking it up and taking it down. So second queen coming out here to try to defend, but at this point Obsidian does not want to lose these queens and may have to get up some spore crawlers. We see 1 going down in both the main and the natural. Very nice defense against the Phoenix. But still, if you get enough Phoenix, you can really swoop in there and pick up a few drones, do some economic damage. One hard thing is to micro those Phoenix and keep up with your macro. If we check out the resources, both players doing a very nice job macroing. Their Kodak has himself a little bit side-blocked here, but keeping their minerals relatively low, as Obsidian doing a great job here, spreading tumors throughout the map, so the creep spreading slowly but surely, and you definitely want to engage on creep against a Protoss player. You want to have that surround. You want to make sure that you can get around those force fields as they do go down. Kodak swooping in here with these Phoenix again, trying to take out some Overlords. And again, as a Zerg player, you get those rally points and you get the Overlord just floating all around, and the Phoenix can pick them off quite easily. So checking the production tab, it looks like we have a Spire on the way, as well as ground carapace level 1 for the Zerg player. So that Spire, maybe get out some some Corruptors or Mutas to try to take on these Phoenix. Combined with the Queens, they can be pretty good defense, but it looks like Kodak not going too all in with those Phoenix. He's in fact getting up a robotics facility, maybe going for some sort of tech switch over to Colossi. But Obsidian will be prepared with that Spire as well, so he can get out Corruptors or Mutas, whatever he needs. Looks like the Phoenix trying to come in here, getting a kill or two, and forcing Obsidian to throw down another Spore Colony. Or a Spore Crawler there, as Kodak getting up his own third at the gold, and moving forward with a small force. You see both armies relatively even, 2,500 to 2,400 at this point. Kodak bringing an Observer, he's going to start taking out these creep tumors. And again, you really want to stop that creep from spreading. And Obsidian moving forward with a few Hydras, a good bunch of Roaches and Zerglings, as well as a Queen. And Kodak just doing his best to swoop in here, do some damage, and pull back. Does not want to engage on that creep. Does not want to allow the Zerglings to get a nice surround on these Stalkers. Losing control of these Stalkers a little bit. Needs to pull back here. And it looks like Kodak going to lose his entire force here. Obsidian may take this timing to push forward. He does have the advantage. If we check the production tab, we do have another ground upgrade coming for the Protoss player. This gold expansion about to finish. He's got some photon cannons here to defend. Something we see Kiwi Kaki do a lot at that third, getting those cannons down. And Kodak, he's got these Phoenix here, a few kills on each. Looks like he is getting out Colossus. So they will be able to take down these Hydralisks, only 80 health. And the Roaches as well, combined with some good force fields, those Colossi can be very powerful. So we see a lot more Roaches coming out for Obsidian at this point. The extended Thermal Lance on the way as well. So Kodak losing a good bit of his army there, but now just trying to macro up, adding a fourth base. So both players trying to get up a fourth about the same timing. If we check the Harvester count, Obsidian not actually doing too much droning here. Only 38 Harvesters to 77. And I don't even think that the Phoenix did all that much damage. Obsidian just not spending his minerals too well, getting a little bit high here. Needs to really drone up off the gold expansion here, and he is getting up another macro hatch. So trying to spend those minerals, and it looks like he just dumped all those minerals into 11 Corruptors. See a battle here, as we do have a lot of good force fields preventing the Hydralisks and the Roaches from reaching these Blink Stalkers. Blinking backwards, going to do as much damage as they can, and then I imagine they will retreat off this creep, doing the best they can with Blink, trying to get away from the Zerg army. Looks like these Corruptors about to pop 11 of them, but no Hive on the way for Obsidian, so the Corruptor is not going to be too useful, besides against those Colossi, but not too many Colossi on the field for Kodak at this point. He actually might have lost those Colossi in the encounter. Yes, it looks like just Phoenix and Stalkers at this point. Looks like both players have up that fourth, but again, the income disparity, 81 probes for Kodak compared to the 42 of Obsidian. So the Protoss player just rolling at this point. He's got a slight food advantage as well, 150 to 136, but remember a lot of those are Harvesters. And really need to see Obsidian macro up here, as the Phoenix just getting good scouting information at this point. He could be doing a little bit more with those. There are some Overlords that are ripe for the picking midfield there. Obsidian needs to get down a few more active tumors as well. Keep that creep spreading, as it's just so advantageous for the Zerg player. Neither player really saturating their fourth at this point. And if we check the income tab, again, it's still 81 to 42. Checking out the APM of both players, solidly at 100 for both players at this point. And now we see a Dark Shrine coming out, as well as a Hive. So both players taking up in all different directions, and this Hive going to enable the Greater Spire and those Broodlords out for the Zerg player Obsidian. Blinkstalker's pretty good against Broodlords, but Broodlords are just so very good against all the Protoss units. As this Roach poking in here, it's going to be able to see this Dark Shrine and the Photon Cannons there, as well as this fourth. So Kodak doing a good job saturating the fourth. Again, the main all mined out for the most part. He's got a lot of probes, well, not too many probes there, but he has decent saturation on all of his bases. So you see Darks now moving in here. And he's got them split between all the bases. Does have a few Overseers, so they spotted the one Dark Templar, but the second or third Dark Templar going right towards this fourth, and looks like they're going to try to take down the hatchery. They can't really take out any of these drones here. As the Overseer is moving in here, it looks like they will not be able to take down this hatchery. Obsidian doing a nice job, but now Kodak going to see all these Corruptors, so we'll wonder how he's going to react to that. Corruptor's going to be taking down these Colossi so very quickly. Do see his charge on the way, and another Colossus coming out. So we'll see if these Colossus can micro away from these Corruptors, getting corruption down on these Colossus, trying to micro away from the Stalkers, trying to focus fire down the Corruptors as well. Looks like these Colossus will not be long for this world, as all these Corruptors easily able to take them down, but a lot of Blink Stalkers taking on these Roaches and the Hydralisks as well. A few drones in there for good measure, blinking in, trying to take down the retreating forces, sniping off an Overlord or two. Looks like we have more Roaches on the way for Obsidian. Just more and more macro coming from the Zerg player, but Kodak doing his best to overwhelm these Hydralisks, and these Corruptors trying to corrupt these Stalkers as the Roaches streaming in here for defense, but Kodak doing a nice job warping in more Stalkers coming in here. As we see Obsidian, these Corruptors, just too many Corruptors, not able to do anything against these Stalkers. We see more and more Roaches on the way. If we check the income or the money tab, only 400 minerals left for Obsidian, 2,700 for Kodak, so Kodak needs to keep warping in more and more units. He's got some more Colossus on the field, really needs to take down those Colossus with the Corruptors and the Overseer here, taking it down. As Obsidian gives the GG, he knows that the writing's on the wall, and Kodak takes this one. So I think Kodak did a really nice job macroing up there compared to his opponent. In the early going, felt like Obsidian had the slight advantage, but then Kodak was able to get up this expansion here, eventually get on 4 bases, and then the income disparity with the Harvester is just so huge. And go ahead and probably bring you another game between these two players. Thanks for watching this one. Take care.